Sorry! Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. This is GenchoMoto and today I'm gonna show you a Volvo XC90. So it was the early 2000s when Volvo decided that they need to produce something that is very safe for the driver and the passengers inside. So they come up with this Volvo XC90. It's built on the platform of the P2 and they started its production in 2002. They built it all the way down to 2007. That is 14 years of production. Even though the second generation comes out in 2014, they still continue to build this for another 2 years. Facelift model comes out in 2007, but the changes are not that much because, to be fair, they actually made the perfect car, so they didn't really have a lot to touch up. The only difference is headlights are now LED. It has a slightly bigger badge on the front, slightly different tail lights, and the badge at the back that says Volvo is slightly bigger as well. It's been designed that way that it's reinforced literally everywhere. It has reinforced steel on the roof, so if you get a rollover, it's highly likely you're going to stay alive, not like other cars. The front end is designed that way that if you actually bump into a pedestrian, it's not going to go underneath, it's going to go somewhere up here. That's how it's built. Also, in case you get into collision, the engine is designed that way that it's not going to go inside your legs and break every single part of your body. It goes either underneath the car, somewhere up the car, or on the side. It's actually one of the safest cars on the planet. It's been chosen for America's top SUV for 3 years in a row when it first came out in 2002. It's super strong and the panels are very, very tough. You won't probably find any example that has rust on it unless it had an impact somewhere and the panel was repaired. So when you go and have a look at it, always do a good check on the panels because that's gonna tell you a lot about the car. Suspension wise, it's very, very cheap to maintain, almost like a normal car. There's nothing expensive about it. It comes with all-wheel drive and just a front-wheel drive. If I was you and like I'm gonna go for an SUV, I'll definitely go for the all-wheel drive. It's just I can't really see front-wheel drive being okay on an SUV. At the end of the day, it's a heavy car. You're meant to go on holidays, you're meant to go somewhere up in the mountains. You might need a 4x4, especially in the winter time, so I would go for the 4x4. Transmission wise, they've got quite a few transmissions actually that come up with the Volvo. You've got the 6-speed manual, 4-speed auto, which is from GM, 5-speed auto and 6-speed auto. This particular example is a 5-speed auto and it's got 2.4 diesel engine, which reminds me I haven't mentioned the engines yet. So let's just go to the bonnet and I'll talk more about them. I've got to open it. Starting with the diesel engines, we've got 2.4D 463 brake horsepower and 2.4D 500 brake horsepower. Petrol engines, we have 2.5 210 horsepower, 3-litre twin turbo 272 brake horsepower, 3.2 naturally aspirated 243 brake horsepower. And if you want to have a real fast SUV, you're gonna get the 4.4 V8 315 brake horsepower. It is a bit juicy, but there is one trick. If you actually go and put an LPG system on it, it's sort of economical. I mean, LPG per litre, the gas is about what, 50-60 pence, but you end up driving like big tank with big engine and the sound is just amazing. My personal opinion is that the 2.4 diesel engine is probably one of the best ones for town drive and also for like long trips. It's fairly economical for such a heavy car, and if you go and look for them on Auto Trader or any other website that they're selling cars,
you will find that they can go to ridiculously high mileages. Actually, their average mileage on the clock is about 180k, and they can easily reach to 300k with just servicing, as long as you're changing the cam belt on time. As I've mentioned already, they're fairly economical for what they are for such a heavy car, and this engine is pretty much enough to tow your caravan or maybe another car if you have a trailer and you're buying and selling cars, or you've got a truck car. So as long as you fit a tow bar, you won't have any issues of towing. All the gearboxes are working absolutely fine. They rarely have issues. To be fair, with Volvo, that particular Volvo, the only issue you might find is steering rack. It leaks from time to time, but it's fairly cheap to repair. It's about 250 to 350 pounds to get it repaired. Apart from that, you might get ABS sensors which are going off every now and then, and it comes out straight away on the dashboard. I would suggest you, if you're changing ABS sensors, get the genuine ones from Volvo. Don't get the Chinese ones, because as soon as you fit them, you're gonna find out that you just wasted 30 pounds on an ABS sensor that is not fitting the car. We're gonna pop inside the car and we're gonna talk a little bit more about the issues, what you have to check when you go and buy it, and we're gonna go for a test drive after that. Doors heavy, it's like literally like you're opening a tank. All of them come out with leather seats as far as I'm aware. They're also electric with memory, so you can pretty much set it for you, and then on number 2 you can set it for your wife, and then if your kid can drive you can set it for number 3. Steering wheel, that is manual, but it goes up and down, upwards and backwards. It's very comfy. The seats are like massive. It's like pretty much you're sitting on your sofa in your house.
I thought you were going to say something.
Oh!
Inside, I'm not a very big person, but to be fair, even if you're like 2 meters high, it's still going to be very spacious for you. It's actually quite luxury inside. You've got climate control. Let me just turn the ignition on so I can show you how it works. So you've got dual climate control. So if you feel hot, you can always adjust it to a lower temperature, and if your wife feels very cold, you can adjust her to flow warm. It's easy reachable controls. Literally everywhere. From here you adjust where do you want to have the air coming from, and here you adjust the actual speed of the fan. AC works pretty simple, on and off. You've got heat windscreens front and back, and you've got one extra that I really like, which is heated seats. They only work when you actually start the car, and they've got 2 levels. Again, very easy to adjust. From here you stop your traction control. You've got your parking sensors button, so if you want to turn it off or on, it's literally just here. And this one is for when you tow in the car, for the alarm. You won't be able to change it. You've got a little screen here that tells you like all the stations, CD, and here is the CD changer. It's actually inside, and you've got 6 different, you can put up to 6 different discs. On some of them you've got navigations just here. Unfortunately this particular model doesn't have one. And on the headrests you have like little DVD screens for the kids. To be fair, I wouldn't feel the need to change the CD player because it works just fine. The quality of the sound is absolutely amazing. Got more than 12 speakers in the car, and if you get, they go anywhere between 5 and 30 quid. It's called radio receiver. Just plug in your cigarette lighter, and that way you have a Bluetooth CD player now in your car. You just connect it to your phone, and you can choose any music to play at all. Automatic gear shifter, goes super smooth, very easy to operate. You've got manual shifting as well, up and down. And you've got the winter mode. You've got 2 cup holders here which are full of keys. Let me just take them. Right, you've got 2 cup holders here. That cup, if you go to buy one, they can break really easy. So, I mean, the owner of this car never bothered about it. If I don't really bother, because most of the time it stays open anyway. It's not on your hand's way, because you can have your hand resting like this on the gear shift. Do not put your hand on the gear shift, always have 2 hands on the steering wheel anyway. And then underneath your armrest, you've got like a little glove box. It's quite deep. You can store CD players if you're somebody that still listens to CDs. If not, you can put anything you like a little table. Then it shuts. Glove box, very deep. Oh, no. Glove box is not so deep. Again, enough for a few CD players from 80s Weekender. Hazard lights button, and then you've got your cruise control buttons. From here you can easily set the speed that you want to go, turn it off, reset it. From here you can control your radio, change the stations, turn up the volume. Here you can control your headlights, indicators as usual. From that side are the wipers. With that little button, you usually read the information that stores into that screen here. What you're gonna find out, they've got another issue, and this is with the steering cluster. Sometimes it stops to work, it flickers, display's not working. On this particular example, that display is not working. Unfortunately, you have to send it for repairs. I think there's like 1 or 2 companies in UK that does that. They take the dashboard out, the steering cluster, and then they resolder it or do whatever they like with it. I'm not really an electrician, so I won't be able to tell you. But yeah, here it tells you all the information about how much the fuel the car burns per like average, motorway, city drive. If you've got any faults coming up, they also come up here. And also if you've got fault with the ABS sensors, it's gonna come up in that little triangle here, then on that little screen here, and it's also gonna come up here. Something that I find very cool about this car is seat belts. Right, so if you leave without a seat belt, you have a sign for your seat belt here, a sign for a seat belt here on the top. It almost feels like you're in an airplane. And the car beeps very annoyingly, so I would not suggest you driving without one. Got cool handles. Here you've got all the window controls. Again, super easy accessible. Central lock-in is literally just 1 finger away, as well as your wing mirror controls. Them cars are always coming with automatic headlights, so unless you adjust it to daytime running lights, you won't have to touch them at all. Then you can adjust the light of your cluster from here and here. Handbrake, we don't have any handbrake here in the middle. It's a little pedal that you just press, and the handle to release the brake is just here. You can hear a massive noise, nothing to worry about. Right, so I'm gonna step out of the car now, and we're gonna go the back to see how it feels at the back, if it's spacious or not. Coming down to the back, you've got a lot of room. It's like space for 3, and there's plenty of storage for my legs, so I can even like stretch them up a little bit, make myself nice and comfy for a long trip. You've got your heated blowers here, that you can adjust at the back instead of being on the central column. You've got another cigarette lighter socket, cigarette lighter tray, and then you've got cup holders for the back, which they're easy adjustable depending on what you're going to be drinking. Is it going to be a coffee, is it going to be an energy drink, a little can of Pepsi, or anything else that just slides back into a central column, so it's not on its way. Extra safety just like next to the seat, because the car is so safe, but you never know when you're gonna need to protect yourself. So just put it back here. You got extra storage in the seats, but I would suggest you don't use them because they're like very saggy after that once you start using it. If you're a shorter person, the car has a very nice extra. You've got a little handle here that if you just pull, then the seats slides up, and if your brother or sister is taller than you, you can always sit in the middle and feel almost as tall as them or even taller. Seats, they adjust individually, so every single seat is individual for itself. And now we're gonna go and have a look at the third row seats. So coming up to here, you've got a little handle that you just pull up, and then you just lift your third row seat, and then you just pull the bottom part of the seat. Funny.
That's a bullshit.
Such fun. Shit. You know, this is up as well. What the fucking hell? Let me think about it. There's another handle here. Oh. Why would you want this to fall? You know what's the funny thing? When I went to clean the car, I had this off. I'll figure it out. That's for this. What the hell? Oh.
Don't tell me you just need to pull it harder.
So basically all you do, this has to go all the way down. And you slide it. But I don't know about this one.
Fellas?
Hiya, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, just had a call from the control room, mate. Obviously saying that you might be filming something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're filming a video for this Volvo basically. we had to move because we got kicked out from the car park that we were filming. Apparently we haven't got permission and it's not safe to film because they don't know what we're filming. So if you see you guys back on the car park, that means we've got permission. And yeah, we're gonna finish it off here. We found another place, and hopefully for next video we will only shoot on in one place, and we won't have to move around again. That door is actually very strong, I have to say. Like, you can jump on it. I'm about 90 kilo and it holds me just fine. Boot storage, proper massive if the third row seats are down. You got cup holders. You can fit a massive shopping trolley inside. Right, as I started speaking about the third row, let's move on to the third row seats. Assembling the third row seats is very easy.
What the fucking hell?
You've got a little handle here that you just poof, that you just move, not poof. Right? So you just move it, and then you lift that seat all the way up. You push that little handle, and then you just pull out the bottom part of the seat. I'll go and pull out the other one. Right, so this is gonna be actually a 6-seater. It's not gonna be a 7-seater because we've got the gear on them seats and we're too lazy to move it around so we can get the second seat. But in general, you get the idea. This is exactly the same seat as it's gonna be this one. So let's sit in the third row and see how it feels. Coming down onto the third seat rows, I have to say it's very, very tiny. But it's probably going to be perfect for like a 4, 5, 6-year-old kid. You've got cup holder for drinks here and here, and we've got 2 literally right at the back, which I don't find very comfortable. I don't even know why they're there, to be fair. You ain't gonna keep somebody in the boot when you have the third row seats. I mean, if you're gonna be kidnapping somebody, you're gonna want them down. We've got 2 pockets on each side, perfect for maybe leaving your crisps, your gloves as you're a kidnapper. You don't want to leave anything behind. And you also have a little glove box right just in the middle, in the 2 seats. Right, we've got third row seats. Let me show you the handle that you need to pull so you can get the bottom of your seat. There we go. And this is your third row seats, fully assembled. To be fair, it's actually alright. I can probably last for like 60 miles inside, maybe even 100. I'll get nuts at some point. Right, let's go out of the car now and go for a ride so I can talk a little bit more about it. When you go for a test drive, when you sit in the car, first thing you want to do is start the car and then spin the wheel about 5-6 times each way and have a look at the cluster if it's flickering or not, because they get split in the cable connection and that's where your cluster's problems starts. Like this one, the little display is not working. It didn't really bother the previous owner. To be fair, it doesn't bother me either. It's only like information gauge. But if you have problems with the ABS, airbags, traction control, is extra, you're gonna get them onto the other gauge too. So this one is pretty much you can read them. On the other one is just like signs. And if you have a look at your manual, them signs, you know what they are when you have a look at them. Always put your seatbelt on before you go for anywhere, because safety is always first. Got an angry car. I've got an angry person. Let's put the wiper plates on because it's rainy. See, it's rainy outside, the roads are slippery, but I don't feel afraid at all because we're in one of the safest cars ever made, apparently. I don't really want to test it out but the 2.4 actually has a lower torque for what it is. I know it's only 163 brake horsepower, but it is torquey, and for a big SUV it pulls alright. Steering wheel is light, it doesn't feel heavy at all. The car's really quiet inside, to be fair as well. Outside, when you start the car, you can't really hear the engine. Road tax on them Volvos is a bit expensive. It's about £300 a year, but any car that's over 2 litre, it has roughly the same road tax as this one. Monthly, if you're paying it, you're looking to pay about £28. The 2.4 diesel, as I said, for me it's sort of economical comparing the petrol engines. Yes, the petrol engines are faster. Upon the 2.5, I think it's slower than this. It pulls very, very well for an SUV. As I said, petrol engines, they're juicier. Most of them, they're faster and they're a bit more fun to drive. But if you're going to be buying a family SUV, you don't really buy it to be fast, you buy it to be safe, especially this model, the XC90. It has an amazing sound inside. It's not so loud, but in the same time it has that deep sound, and the car's controls really, really nice. Although it feels a bit like a boat because of the suspension is higher than a normal car. It does drive really, really well. You might get an average of maybe 25 to 30 miles per gallon down drive, and you're looking to about 45 if you're on the motorway. Prices on them, they vary because they've been built for 14 years. So depending on what's your budget and what do you want to get, you can find sort of a decent example going somewhere from 2 grand all the way up to 10, 11, 12 grand, again depending, as I said into my previous videos, depending on mileage, MOT, service history, keys with the car, how the car is, what's the car condition inside as well, outside, how many owners, if you're going to be buying it off a private seller or maybe a trader. When you go onto car selling websites, I would say don't really bother about the mileage of the car. It's not that important because them engines, they just go forever. As long as you service it regularly, they will just keep going and going and going. If you find one on 150, 160k, that's normal. Even on 200k I've seen them, that's again normal. To be fair, I had a look on them yesterday in Marketplace and I couldn't really find one that is under 200k or less than £1,500, and it's on all 3 or 4 plates, some of them all 5 plates. If I was after one, I was gonna probably get the one with the cream leather interior because it looks much nicer. The car feels newer. The dashboard on them is completely the same from 2002 all the way down to 2016. Completely the same, apart the sat nav and the DVDs, as I said. Some of them, they've got an R design which has the blue cluster, so that's another option. But yeah, if I had the opportunity and I had to choose to get one, I was gonna get one with a cream leather interior, sat nav, and definitely DVDs at the backs, because that way the hard holds value, it looks much nicer, and inside it feels much nicer, and as I said, it feels newer too. Apart from that, I don't really have a bad opinion about the car. All the common issues that it has, they're sort of cheap to fix for what the car is. Everything's super easy accessible. You definitely feel safe in the car. It feels like tank. It moves like tank. I haven't driven a 4.4 before, but I had mates that done it and they all say that it's amazing. Here's the previous owner of the car. That video was not gonna exist unless it was him. He gave us the car. I bought it off him. I reckon this car is perfect for males, females, people with families, people without families that they just want to use it as workhorse. It's great, it's reliable. You're almost not going to spend any time in the garage unless you don't care about the car and you just drive it until it dies without servicing it, without looking after it. Have a look at one, just decide what you want to get, what trims, what engine, and then just go and see it. Promise you, you won't be disappointed of the vehicle. It's reliable, it's stable, it's sort of cheap for what you want, obviously depending on which year you might want to get. The facelift models look slightly nicer with them touch-up details. They've definitely done the right job and they've reached their target for building one of the safest cars. And that car, I personally think it's gonna hold a value for many, many years to come. They're so reliable that for this price, you probably won't get any better SUV than this one. So this was the end of this episode of one of the safest cars on the planet. If you like this video, please hit that like button, put a comment below, share and subscribe, because that's how you help us grow. Thank you very much.
Give me a second.
Okay. Probably fucked it up too many times.